Here's a little song I wrote. You might want to take it note for no, don't worry. It's Breakfast with Bob.
Honcho Man! Honcho Man, you are the best. Again, we were brought to you by HOKA on a Polar Halo Neuroscience, Velofix. Today's plan, Normatec Four Seasons Resort Hualalai, Triathlete Magazine. Our next guest, 2018 Ironman New Zealand champion, back-to-back Ironman Australia champion, Laura Siddall. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Bob.
I love it. And so, wait, you just did another iron distance race, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it'll be 3 weeks come Saturday.
Oh,
so,
well,
yeah.
that's plenty of time.
Extra few days.
You're like Joe. He did like 4 Ironman in 3 weeks or something like that. Yeah, 2, 3, and 4 weeks.
Yeah, I spread mine out over the year a little bit more than Joe did, but yeah, I think we're still notching up the full distance races.
Nice. Now, were you at Challenge Roth this year?
I was at Challenge Roth this year.
Is that one of your favorites?
Oh, it's just always one of my favorites. Always going to be on the calendar. It's just a great race.
So you started in the triathlon when you moved to Australia.
I did, yes.
And what was it about the sport? Because triathlon is just huge in Australia?
Yeah, it's huge. I had a sporting background in the UK and moved over to Australia with my corporate job at the time, and was just looking for some sport to get into, and friends from work suggested triathlon because it is so big over there, and found a local group that had a beginner's course, so signed up to that, and I bought a bike about the week before, I think, sort of a hybrid road,
of course,
cross bike, flat bar at the front, had my trainers on, that did my first triathlon like that, and I think just got hooked with it being something new, something I could see improving. I like the element of the 3 sports,
right,
and the swim, bike, and the run, and also just then the community. The group that I joined in Sydney was a real social group, really great. It was always fun turning up to training every day, and they're some of my closest friends still. So yeah.
So when did you take it from being a hobby to deciding that I could be good at this? Yeah,
I progressed relatively quickly, I guess, through the age group ranks, but it was still as a hobby and still balancing with corporate world in engineering.
Right.
And it got to, I think it was 2014, or 2013 actually, and I qualified for the Ironman 70.3 Worlds, and also was at the Olympic ITU World Champs, and went to Las Vegas and won 70.3 Worlds as an overall female amateur.
Yeah.
And then flew to London the next week, so I have a thing of backing up week-to-week races, and defended my Olympic distance title as an age grouper. Wow. And I think it was just then, particularly the race in Las Vegas, just kind of gave me that, this is something
real
that might
competition.
Be. Yeah, and I think as well, if I'd been in the UK, sport still at that time, it's changed a lot now, was still very much seen as a hobby, whereas I think in Australia it was very much more this professional career that you could have, and so that sort of opened my eyes. And I wasn't particularly enjoying my corporate job at the time, and not getting any younger, and it was one of those
you can always go back to corporate.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was one of those chances saying I don't want to look back in 10, 20 years time and say what if. So left the corporate world and took a huge leap off a cliff.
a big leap off a cliff.
Yeah.
But it's been great.
Oh, it's been fantastic. No regrets.
What are some of your favorite experiences?
I think
because you're also when you go to these races, you homestay as a pro. You do a lot of homestays, and these people become like second families.
That's right, and I think the people you meet over, and I'm quite a global athlete. I don't have a specific base as such. I'm moving around quite a lot, and I think the benefit I've had from that is that I've met so many incredible people around the world and through the sport, and that just those friendships you make, those connections you meet, the stories you hear, it just gives you such a buzz of why you're involved in the sport. So
Ironman Australia 2017, you win the race, but there's another gal, a pro who was supposed to race that day named Lauren Parker. Yep. And she had crashed on April 18th and was paralyzed. And you've stayed close since then. Talk a little bit about that relationship.
Yeah, so I was aware of Lauren before the race. I hadn't actually met her, but I was aware of her. Obviously, she was lining up, and I knew she was this up-and-coming pro, and was obviously had her as
someone
to watch in the race. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And then 10 days out from the race or whatever it was, heard the news about her horrific crash, and I think just because I was racing at that race where she was going to be standing on the start line next to me, just affected me,
Yeah.
and it just brings it all home to you. So obviously I went on to race, and I won that race, and that was my first Ironman win and the full distance. So it was incredibly special, and being in Australia where I started the sport. But I just had the opportunity I was in Australia to then go and visit Lauren in hospital back in Sydney on my way home after the race, and and that was amazing. I having never met her, but then suddenly meeting this incredible person in the situation she was in then. Really affected me, and we've stayed in touch ever since. She's
sitting
kindly
up in the
come
audience.
over. She only just started following me on Messenger though the other day, so I've got to have words about that.
Thought she was a real friend.
I know.
I was like,
but so she came today, which is great, and she was out at the CAF Challenged Athletes Foundation event last year.
Well, it was like we said,
we did that
this
together.
race was this is the B race.
Yeah, that's right.
Kona's a B race because your real race
is the
our
prep
San
race
Diego
for next
Triathlon
weekend.
Challenge, which
That's
is
right.
October 21st, where we'll have 130 challenged athletes there from all over the world. And actually, last year, we brought Lauren in, and I think that sort of spurred things on.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit worried this year because she's been doing pretty well in the sport of paratriathlon and getting a few medals on the
Commonwealth Games bronze, World Championship bronze.
So
that's the hardest thing is when people get injured, when you're paralyzed. There's usually about a year period of just a cloud hanging over, not knowing what's next. And Lauren never had that cloud. It was always about, I want to get back into sport. I want to get back into
driven,
triathlon.
Yeah, just
and
incredible.
So she's here, and what she's been doing, which is really fun, is she swam the swim the other day on the Ironman course in 108, right? And then she's got her hand cycle here, and I think the goal is after the Paralympics in 2020 that Lauren will hopefully come here in 2021 and try to win this race. Is that right? Yeah. Yes, it is. How about a round of applause for Lauren Parker sitting in the back there? Yeah. So talk a little bit about just, like you said, it's almost like you're on holiday from the real job that eventually you'll go back to. Yeah. What's been so special about all of this? Just the travel and just the friends and everything else. Yeah,
I mean, coming here specifically into
Kona,
this island,
and
it's just a special place. It is, the frenzy, the people it attracts, the attention it attracts, just creates this intense and incredible atmosphere and a little bit of a circus and chaos. But it draws us all back here, and you want to be competing against the best in the world. And it is also, I mean, for me, I'm super happy with the season I've had with the three long distance races I've won. And so it's kind of trying to remember that and come here as that celebration and use it as that chance to catch up with all those friends and all those people that you've met over the years, because they're all in the same place for the same week.
So when you finished 15th in this race, where the biggest spotlight is, where the best athletes on the planet are, how does that change you in terms of your impressions of you, your perception of you?
I actually, that was last year, and it really hit me quite hard. It wasn't, I think this year when I look back at that result and I say 15th, I'm kind of like, I can see it in a little bit more perspective and in a bit more positive light. Last year I was really disappointed. Really? With the result, just from the form I felt I had. But, that's what this race does. That's the island, and trying to get that right probably takes a few goes. You don't always, I've seen it break. I've been here to watch quite a few years before I raced, and you see it break the very best in the world. And that's, I guess, why another thing that draws us back to this. But I think now, having had the year I've had this year and looking back on last year, I can see that result in a lot more positive light. And then going into this year, I mean, the field is stacked this year. It's so deep, which is fantastic. I mean, it's great for the sport, and I'll use my experience last year and the learnings I took away from that, and just hopefully put a better performance out this year. I think I didn't really appreciate it last year. I was pretty down when I crossed that finish line, and I didn't really take a chance to look up and think, enjoy it. I'm in Kona and this is the world champs, and I'm running down a Leahy drive to that finish line. And so I want to do that this year, and want to make sure that I cross that line feeling pretty proud and hopefully with a smile on my face. Grimace smile, I'm not sure what it'll be, but that's the plan.
How about a round of applause for Laura Siddall? Poncho Man, take us out.
might have to litigate. But don't worry, it's just breakfast with Bob.